So thank you. It's a blessing for me to be here in front of you today, be in front of friends. And as always, to God be all the glory. People who know me agree that I am a person that likes things in order. That is the way I am. Some people can say that I am kind of, this is my husband, so he's like, yes. People can say maybe kind of OC, kind of obsessive compulsive, because I only like things to be kind of order. But I have to confess, really, that the first time I have Rob's book in my hands, instead of going from page 1 to the end, because he is really a down-to-earth author, and I have the blessing to translate his second book, One Flesh, from English to Spanish. I know kind of his style and his heart. Not as, of course, your wife knows your heart, and God knows your heart. So I went to the back and start from the beginning, and I jumped to page 143. That is the part that talks about the afterword is your walk. And it took me a little bit, less than a minute, I believe, to read the whole thing. But I didn't understand why I was reading the end instead of started from the beginning. We, my husband Troy and myself, we have the opportunity to meet Robert and his family in a divine way. And the divine way, the only divine way that we can meet other people is serving God. Sometimes we meet people at church, sometimes we meet people, doing other things. But I believe that the divine way to meet somebody is when we both are serving Him. Because it's your heart that is the one who is going to join with the heart of the other people. And so that person really have a servant heart in them. So that's the way we met Robert and his wife and his beautiful daughter. At that time, we were doing some outreach in Latino apartments. And I asked Robert if it was possible for him to come and help us. And he talked about his beautiful wife and his daughter. And he said, and she sings. Of course, every parent thinks that, their children are the best, and they have the best voice, and they are, they are going to be the first in row clapping and all of that. So I didn't want to be mean to Rob, and I said, well, okay, maybe she can sing one song, and if it's short, better. Well, she started with one song, and she touched the heart of so many people around, adults and children, that I was the one who was asking if she can please sing more. So those divine encounters that we have with Robert allow me to understand why I was reading backwards instead of forwards. On page 143, Robert shares between lines about his walk with the Lord and his obedience with Him. If you read the page, you are going to say, now, he's not talking about that. But it's exactly what he's doing. He's sharing his heart in the whole book, but in that part specifically, he's sharing why it's important to really take your sandals off and walk the path that God has for you. Obedience is what brings transformation. I know nowadays everybody's using that word, even politicians. They don't understand the meaning really of the word. Transformation only can happen if you have Jesus Christ in your heart. The other thing is changes. And everybody can talk about changes, but transformation is something completely different. So it's a deep word that for being used in the right context is going to describe who really you are. It's what you want to be in the will of God. So, knowing that truth, that only really knowing the truth can make you free and bring transformation to your life, I was done with the afterwards. So I need to read the book now. So I started reading the book. And my thoughts about what really the book is about started changing. Of course, everybody, if you read the books, take out your sandals, you're going to start, if you are a Christian or you know something about the Bible or even history, you're going to know that it's about Moses, right? It's immediately the first thing that is going to come to your mind. But it's more than that. Robert, in the introduction, he started saying the mysteries of God are not read but revealed by the Spirit who knows all things, past, present, and future. And sometimes, because I have the opportunity to, when I was translating his other book, to call him and said, so what did you mean by what you wrote? And he's like, what? Did I write that part? And I said, yes, you did. It's written and it's printed. I have the book in my hands. So today, I was going to ask him, do you know what you wrote? The mysteries of God are not to be read, but revealed by the Spirit who knows all things. We miss so much in life when we don't get that the revelation for us is available. And it's available if we really are looking for it. From chapter 1 to chapter 18, Roberto takes us chronologically through Bible stories where the characters are people that you and me, we can relate with. And that's what I like about it. It's very simple. He doesn't go into deep down the theological word that is used in that God. No, he's telling a story and telling the story of characters that you are going to be so familiar that you started feeling that you are part of that storytelling. For example, he says in page 15, I believe that Moses, taking his shoes off, was a representation of his respect and total submission to the Lord God. When he drew near to him, it should be with solemn pause and preparations, with a humble, reachable, open-minded attitude, ready to receive revelation, orders, favor, and guidance. Thank you, Robert. We have studied so many times about the story of Moses and the divine place and take out your sandals that we forget sometimes that that place was not only the divine place of the encounter of birth, was a place that he was going to receive guidance, he was going to receive orders. And if he didn't have the right heart, taking the sandals was not really an action of obedience, was only an action of the surprises of being a burning bush in front of him. And sometimes we forget what things happen in our life that really is cause and effect. And we forget sometimes that it's not the physical things that we're seeing, that is more to everything in our daily basis life. And if we are not apt to see it, we are missing the point of living every day. We can know God, but we can really don't know him or what he's doing in our lives. And that is what takes us so long to be transformed. Then, in page 17, you wrote, the place where Moses was standing was holy. What place? You didn't add that, but if I translate the book in Spanish, I will add it. What place? The physical place? No. The spiritual condition he had finally come to. He had arrived at a place in his personal growth where God could work through him. And I love that. Because not everybody has the ability to identify their spiritual condition. And that is why sometimes we have to beg people to come and serve God. We have to make these beautiful presentations, putting things together of poor people that need help. Come on, please help us. We don't need to do that. If you have really in your heart the desire to serve God, you don't need to be motivated to do it. You only have to do it. It's your obligation. It's part of you to do things. I am not going to stand here trying to convince you to take your sandals off. Because you know at the end what it means? It means that you are going to realize that if you obey, one of the first things that you are going to do in this new relationship with Father is to serve. And that is what we are all about. You cannot say that you love God if you don't serve others. And let me finish with something that Roberto wrote too. You are marvelous made, and you have been given a purpose. You may not be fulfilling it yet, because somewhere, somehow, that divine connections were severed, and you feel broken and worthless because of the situation you are in. You know, it is normal to feel in that way, but it's not healthy to linger in it. So don't stay in that place. Get up, seek God, and take your sandals off. Thank you, Robert.